All right, this is Clint from the Doorway too, hanging out with, I think it's Onsegen Ensemble. I don't know if I butchered it or not, but I hope that's close enough. Thank you very much for doing this. I know we have like a 8 hour time difference, so I know it's kind of late at night for you guys right now. So I do very much appreciate it. If you guys kind of want to just introduce yourself and what you do in the band, that would be kind of great.
So I can start. I'm Esa Juujärvi, and I'm bass player and singer, and doing composing and other stuff.
Mikko Vuorola. I play guitar and flute.
Nice. Awesome. So I kind of wanted to ask a little bit because you guys have been around quite a long time, and it looks like you've had a bit of a rotating lineup. So is there a core member of band members, or is it kind of a rotating cast of whoever's around at that time to be able to play whatever you're looking to do?
Basically, there have been two main lineup. In 2004, when we formed the band, there was three of us. I am only member from that lineup, and after that, when we started recording Avalai, our first long play, we kind of stick to this lineup, which have been 4 or 5 members, and the other guys and girls are rotating members.
Gotcha.
But we have some kind of core.
So basically, we have Esa is playing bass. I'm playing mostly guitar. Then we have Joni who is playing guitar. Our drummer Limppu. And then we also now we have kind of permanent trumpet player with us, and also didgeridoo player, didgeridoo
Yeah.
player.
Awesome.
So now I think we now this the second more or less permanent lineup now has incarnated.
Good. Yeah, it sounded like there was kind of a core members that were there, and there was a rotating lineup around it. So
Yeah.
I did see it. Awesome. So I kind of want to. I've never heard the first record, but I kind of want to talk a little bit from the second record, Duel to Fear, and it kind of sounds like a natural progression in more experimental, more uh, trying different elements. I love the horns. I love and I know this is probably a term that you guys get tired of, but I like the kind of spaghetti western vibe that you give cinematically and theatrically in the music. It really does work well. It seems like Fear, you've kind of brought that all encompassing in, where the record before that, there's some avant-garde elements, but it's more of just a kind of prog psych rock record. So could you kind of talk about the last record to this one, and what progressions, like what made you make Fear what it is?
Um, I think the progression what have it's been there. It's natural because we are not never wanted to do something certain. Everything we do, it's something that we do, and the music itself is thing that we are doing, not thinking what it should be or when it should be released and that kind of thing. And yes, there is certain some things that you can hear in all our albums, just like you said. And I don't know,
We didn't plan it.
it just came.
It just came like it. There is You know, the first two songs are a little bit heavier in this new record, and the rest of the record is more or less maybe that spaghetti western stuff. And also there is this one hippie song called Earthless.
Folk
hippie
influences.
Song. So it's quite rich and diverse album, but still I'm surprised that all the songs that they are somehow connected, and they sound like us, and that's the one thing I like this band, that there is some magic going on all the time.
Awesome. So that's kind of cool, because you kind of are bringing me right into what I wanted to talk about. So there's two tracks in particular that really kind of drew me to the record, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about those two songs with you. The first one, ironically, is Earthless. That was the one I was going to talk about. It's probably the most diverse and original track I've heard from the band yet. I love how it kind of is very expansive. It has lots of ethereal kind of moments in it. And it does have that kind of 60s, 70s retro vibe to it, which is very cool. I kind of wanted to see, and it focuses a lot of different kind of vocal sounds, maybe not vocal styles, but vocal sounds as well too. I kind of wanted to see how that song kind of came about. So if we could talk a little bit about that song, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that might be first song that we did in this new album, and probably it's 2 years old now, but it wasn't easy song to finish, because it was kind of we tried everything that could be in the record with that song. There have been many versions of it, many instrumentations, many things happening, and what you hear is the final version of it. And there is some nice and kind of beautiful thing going on in the band. We want to make a ugly and big and sound also, but we like to hear some beautiful things and nice things, and Earthless is that point of view.
Sure.
We have done it.
And there was really many versions of this song, and it was almost finished, but then there was this one melody line or theme that goes how many times? A couple of times in that song, and it was totally, the first version was totally discarded, and new one came to replace that, and there is some really cool melodic and harmonic nuances in that I'm happy that we changed that.
Nice.
And if you listen to Fear song, the end part, you can find all these melodies in the end of Fear.
Yep.
And
awesome.
these were the melodies that we changed it and changed it and changed it, and after all, they are all in Fear song. Nice. End of Fear.
Nice. So yeah, like I said, Earthless kind of gives me chills when I listen to it. It's just it's what drew me to the record, and then I really kind of sat down and dug deep and listened. The other track that kind of took me by surprise is Lament of Man, just because it is at one point in time the polar opposite of Earthless, in my opinion. Like, it is, there's post-rock elements, there's almost a death metal kind of vibe in like the middle of the song, and then it goes to almost like this cinematic movie soundtrack kind of vibe at the end. I kind of want to talk about that song because that is probably the song that covers your style the best throughout one song. So I kind of wanted to see how that song came about, and if you could talk a little bit about that track.
Yeah, Lament of Man is basically second part of Sparrow's song, and there you can hear the ugly part of us, and that's when I'm trying to do some heavy bass riffs, it can go that way and go deep and big and fuzzy as possible. So there's some kind of craziness in it, and it's fun to play. How deep can you go with this riff, and when it's not getting any deeper, you can just quit and release it.
So if you think that song "Lament of Man," it starts with the same melody which is in the Earthless. If you listen it carefully, it's played by bass and trumpet in unisono, and after that it goes to this movie soundtrack like part where it's a lot of didgeridoo and ambience going around. And after that, there is this the same riff turns ugly and heavy, and it's accelerating. And I think that reminds me the sound of Magma, the French prog rock band or Jeol band, and actually it was quite. That riff is really difficult to play. You can try it, but it's not it sounds quite easy, but actually it's really difficult rhythmically to play it. And it was recorded like drum player and Esa was playing it together live in the studio and accelerating all the time and trying to keep track. It was quite interesting stuff to do.
Nice.
It's interesting to play with the drummer because there's some kind of competition who can play it faster, who can go on.
Yes.
Nice. Good. So you're one of the few bands that can't be pigeonholed or like put to one kind of style, which is one of the reasons I really like this new record. There are some bands that I feel like I could be way off base, but I kind of hear inspiration from them, and I kind of want to see if these bands are influences or something that you may have heard. One of the ones that I hear most is a band called When, and they used to be on Gesture Records. And they're a Norwegian kind of like experimental avant-garde band, and it's a one-man, like his name is Lars, and I don't know if you know who they are or not, but like you guys remind me of this band When a lot. Every record is completely different, but they're all put together where it kind of feels like that's what you're doing on this record. It's a bunch of different stories that somehow fit together, but probably shouldn't because they're so drastically different sometimes. And then the other band that I really think that you guys remind me of right now a lot is it's an American band called Earth. And the post-rock kind of jazzy, kind of droney elements that you have remind me a lot of what Earth is doing now. So I just wanted to see if maybe either one of those bands are bands that you've heard, like, influenced, or if not, you should definitely check both of them out because I think you would be really impressed by them.
Yeah, we know Earth for sure. The first one I haven't met them.
Okay. But so that's awesome. No, sometimes there's new sounds you hear, and that's fine. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the overall sound of the band as well too, because it's a clash, in my opinion, of 3 or 4 very different sounds that, again, probably shouldn't work together, but absolutely does. So it's kind of avant-garde jazz. It reminds me of the spaghetti Western cinematic kind of stuff. it reminds me of a lot of psych rock and prog rock. Now, the psych rock and prog rock kind of fit together, but a lot of times jazz and prog rock are very differing beasts and they don't work together well. And then the cinematic side, if you do too much of it, it doesn't work. But if you do too little of it, you don't get the true vibe and feeling. And I kind of wanted to ask, with the horns and the way I guess the keyboard or string arrangements or whatever else is in the background, was that always there for this record, or did you write it as a basic kind of rock record and then add those on as layers?
The trumpet player wasn't in the band when we recorded Duel, and we get him to the studio and said you should play these themes with the trumpet, and it fits so good to the music, so he came to the full member. And when we have we did Fierce songs, there was a ready band and lineup in our minds that we did. So everything is written to the band and that lineup,
Okay.
which is in the album.
But there was also some experimentation in the studio that after the basic song foundations of the songs were recorded, we made some experimentation with trumpet and guitars and so on, that we tried if they fit to some parts, and some of those were really good and some of them not so good. I think the key to success in this business is, or the song making, is to try to just experiment which sounds good and which not, and then you just end up to the most best outcome of those. So it's like a long journey to finish those songs, and it takes sometimes it takes a very long time to find the right mix or setup for the songs. So like it just takes time to make those songs perfect.
Awesome. So I kind of want to talk about where you're from, because I have a soft spot in my heart for Finnish music, and I always seem to be drawn to Finnish bands, whether it's Finnish folk, Finnish metal, Finnish punk. There just seems to be a certain, I don't know, overlying sound, regardless of what the band is, where there's always a darkness and a hope at the same time. And there's always a very, and it's probably because of my pagan beliefs as well too. There's always like a heritage or history towards what you're trying to do, and you can hear it. It's something that's crafted over time. I'm not going to go through 1,000 band names or anything like that, but I just want to kind of ask you, like, do you feel, because it's such a smaller country and it's kind of isolated to the rest of the world, that the bands that do it kind of all have a brotherhood or sisterhood while they're, trying to make whatever comes out of that country sound kind of homogeneous or sound like it belongs all together? Because I know it's probably not done on purpose, but over the last 20 years, a lot of the music has a similar vibe to it that I hear.
Of course, it's difficult to say, because we don't feel like isolated because this is our home country and the cities are big enough for us. Mm-hmm. Of course, I understand what you are saying. I think what is in Finnish music is nature and winter, summer, autumn, and spring, and darkness and light. Because in summer there's sun is shining through the night, and in the winter you don't see the sun in weeks or months, depending how far north you live. And I'm from northern Finland, where you get this chaos, Kamos. You don't see sun at all in the winter. It's all dark. And I think there might be some common thing to Finnish artists, that the nature is quite different than in rest of the world.
Yes, so currently we have 4 hours of daylight, and that has to affect us somehow, and also I think Finnish language is totally different from many so Anglo-Saxon languages. Like it's totally different than Swedish, for example. We have maybe that is one thing that affects our thoughts and music also, and then we are quite. I think we are. Finland is quite new country. Like we have been under powers of Russian and Swedish before that, so our independence is quite new thing. And yeah, we are one little island in the north.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about the video for Stellar, because when I first watched that, it really caught my eye because it kind of mixes the elements again of a spaghetti western with cinematic elements and very proggy jazzy elements, and you kind of feature a very interesting story in it. So I kind of want to talk to me a little bit about what why did the video become that way, and are you happy with it? Is the end result what you wanted?
It's very difficult to say why things are like they are, because they just pops up in somewhere, and then you make it happen. The story, there is many references to the other songs in that video. If you listen to the whole album, you can spot the things in the video that it's talking their tales, but not in the same. It's kind of video for the whole album, not only for Stellar. And the thing is basically one story that is cinematic section, that man going to his father's grave and drinking with he and dancing with him, and the other side is the visual part of the band. And I'm not sure why there is two kind of worlds mixed together, but it kind of sounded good idea, because when you watch it you can think whatever you want, and you find some new ways to think and look at music and the video. Many things that we do is we don't think that too much. The intuition mostly, and all elements and these just keep coming to your mind. So I don't know. It's hard to say when you are doing this and inside of this process.
Yeah, the budget of that film was quite low, so it was. Esa had a script for the music video, but it wasn't totally finished. So we experimented with different kind of stuff, and it ended up like that.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's really cool. That's why I was asking. It fits the album really well, and I was gonna kind of say it afterward, but you said it already. I thought there was parts from all the songs in the video. I thought maybe I was crazy for a minute, but now you made me feel a little bit better because I was like, wait a minute, there's a piece from this, there's a piece from yeah,
Yeah.
okay, good, good. I want to talk a little bit about how the music and vocals kind of work. So I almost feel like the vocals are another instrument on this record where that doesn't happen very often. A lot of times the vocals are a focus and then the music is kind of the backdrop. I feel like both of them kind of intertwine together where there's not a ton of vocals at times, but when the vocals are there, they have meaning and passion. So again, digging a little bit deeper into the record, did you guys focus on having the vocals kind of just be all enveloping so they're an actual part of the record, or were there just pieces that you felt that fit really well for vocal lines?
Yeah, I think the human voice is essential when you hear it, and it's a very strong instrument as well. And we have in every record we have a human voice. If it's not a song and lyrics and that kind, there's always some sounds from your mouth. It's probably because if there wasn't any human voice, it could be much more boring.
Boring.
If it's 100% instrumental, it can get boring very
Sure.
soon. But if there's some speak or some things going on, and that it's getting interesting. And in the new album there is some lyrics also, which is kind of a new thing to us. Not new thing, but in this
There are more lyrics.
more lyrics than previous albums have. And that's one new element that we wanted to show. And
Yeah, what comes to the sound of all of our records, they are quite organic. So we don't want to have anything techno or some industrial sounds in our music. We like mellotron sound and maybe Rhodes keyboard, but we don't actually have Rhodes in these new
No.
in our records now. But the earlier CDs, they had some Rhodes sound. So we like it to keep it organic. So and the human voice is most organic thing you can have.
Nice. Yes, that's cool. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the label that you're on, and I think this is the first time you're working with Svart, right? This is the first record that you put out on that label.
Yeah.
All right. They are one of the most eclectic labels out there right now. They literally have from folk to death metal, and that is not an easy thing to do. And I kind of wanted to ask where you think you fit, because in my opinion, you are kind of on both sides of the spectrum. You are kind of more on the proggy folk side, but there is metallic and heavy elements to you as well too. Do you think that the reason why the label picked you up is because you kind of meet in the middle of both their worlds, or like I'm just kind of interested on like how you came to work with them and why you think that they picked you up, and where do you think this is going, with the label moving forward?
You should ask that from Tommy why he picked up. I've been in touch with the Svart since the first album, and always wanted that they really would release it. And I think the time was right, and they believed that the album would be good enough
Nice.
to their roster. I don't know. But there was a couple of options, different labels to choose, and we choose Svart because I see it very clearly that Svart is the company that could be the company, and it's from Finland, and we are from Finland. It's easy to work with them, and that's a natural thing.
Nice.
that it should go, and it did go like this.
Yeah. That's the answer.
Nice. That's perfect. So I kind of want to talk a little bit. I don't know what it's like over there right now, but where I am in the U.S., there has not been a live show in almost a year. So I don't know if Finland's able to have shows or not, but I kind of want to ask you, record versus live. How does the band differ? How do you want it to? Do you want it to be two separate entities, or do you want it to be organic, like you said? The record and the live show are pretty much similar. Explain to me the two differences of the beasts.
Of course, there's some differences between live and record. In live shows, that we like to play live, but we haven't played in months. Because there's so much you can do when you play live. Everything is open, and if you get good mood, you can do whatever you want, and you don't hear that in albums.
Yeah, I think we sound better live.
Awesome.
Because the songs are like living creatures. They are. We don't use metronome when we are playing live. The songs kind of breathe. They start to go faster, maybe in the end of some song or so on. I think we play like it's like a collective experience when you are playing. It's very difficult to replicate in studio if you don't play all the instruments in the same time.
Nice. Are you going to be playing live, or is it something that's kind of impossible in Finland, like right now, like the rest of the world? Or
Yes, now they are now making restrictions more tight, and we are with this coronavirus epidemic, we are in accelerating phase. So they are shutting down places and so on. So it's quite impossible to suunnitella, to plan everything, anything basically. So maybe we are just waiting that this pandemic is over.
yeah, I think we all are.
But we did one live show a week ago without our audience. We recorded it and filmed it and maybe we will release it someday.
Nice.
I don't know.
But it sounded really good.
I'd love to hear it. Absolutely.
Actually, it sounded better than the actual record. So
Oh, that's awesome.
that's just me, but
Yeah, that's cool. I know a lot of bands are doing that now. They're kind of doing live shows without audiences or things along those lines. So yeah, we would love to hear that kind of stuff. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I just have a couple more questions, and I'll let you have your weekend back. So I appreciate everything that you've kind of done with me just now. I kind of wanted to ask you flat out, do you think that you are more a prog rock band, or do you think you are more a heavy rock band? Like where do you feel you draw the line? Because I can't draw that line. I've listened to both records and I hear elements of both. Where do you think? Do you think that you're more on the experimental side or more on the heavy rock metal side of things?
Definitely prog. I'm prog rock man, and I've been 13 years prog in the prog rock. So
Yes.
the heavy part comes from some death metal and black metal influences, which we did in 90s when we were young kids. But it's definitely prog rock more than metal.
Nice.
Yeah. But prog is kind of, how you say, dirty word, haukkumasana. It's kind of, you know, I hate prog rock that is somehow where the players are somehow showing off their kills and there are tricks and like there are like 50 different parts in one song. I don't like that kind of prog rock. Nobody else like that kind of prog. We like more like this cinematic kind of. In every song there has to be some sort of one theme that is the core of the song and so on. So that kind of we are prog band, but many people have difficulties to categorize us in that category.
I do as well. That's why I was kind of asked. But I was going to say, I was thinking more in the prog rock style of like that 70s kind of arena prog music, like Genesis and like Kansas, and like even to a more modern extent, like Porcupine Tree, like where it's not pretentious, it's just really good arranged music. And that's kind of the prog. That's kind of the prog I hear from you too. So
yeah, and King Crimson and that kind of thing in British 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And of course Magma and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So the last question I ask every band, it's the same question, and I get really interesting reactions. So I kind of want to see what you two say. Um, if you could have a band take one of your songs or one of your records and make it their own, who would you want that to be and why?
I don't know. Maybe the biggest band in the earth. So we get much teosta. I don't know. Which band could it be?
I could say Miles Davis.
Okay, very cool. So go with that really kind of jazzy experimental vibe. That'd be very cool.
It is true.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't, you don't have to have an answer. I just kind of asked. I got one that's better than none, so I appreciate that. But like I said, it doesn't even have to be a band that's in existence anymore. It's just, I kind of always love to see that because personally, um, uh, I know this is probably a weird comparison, but I'd really love to hear Over do some work with you guys because I think it would be a really interesting collaboration, especially now because they've kind of gone into a very Depeche Mode kind of vibe now, where they used to not be like that. But I think Over would be a really interesting interpretation of what you do because I think they would add more electronic and weird vibes into what you do. So that's just kind of my like I would love to get to Chris and kind of put a bug in his ear and say, hey, you need to listen to this record and kind of do some stuff with you guys. So.
Yeah.
Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the last couple minutes with you guys, talk about the record, talk about how to get it, talk about anything you want. I kind of want, as I jokingly say all the time, my hundreds of viewers that are going to watch this be able to know a little bit more about the band, about how to get the record, and just a little bit more about you guys.
Can you okay.
What?
What was the thing?
So
you,
yeah, so
sorry.
just talk about your band, talk about what's going to be happening, you know, what the future holds for the band.
Okay.
It's kind of your step stool right now to be able to talk to all the people that are watching this.
Okay.
I think the best thing that could happen to us is that we could play live this album, and we are waiting to get some gigs and festivals and that kind of thing, because we don't have any plans with the band now. Maybe we have some new songs and coming up, but we are looking for live shows now.
Yeah.
And
It would be perfect to go touring to Europe, wherever, and it would be very, very nice to play these songs. Because now I think we are in quite good shape, although we haven't played live in maybe it is coming 1 year. Last time we played live was February, so it's almost 1 year we haven't played. And to where you can get the record is going to, if you want to buy the record, go to Bandcamp, and there are vinyls and CDs available.
Nice.
And probably we are continuing to making music as long we breathe. I don't know. It's our life.
Nice.
And it's just bonus if somebody likes that. So
nice. All right. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so very much, Onsegen Ensemble, Isa and Mikko. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will make sure that I put links to your Bandcamp and your websites and all that stuff so people can kind of get exposed to it as well, like I did. If you ever do come to the U.S., please let me know, because I would love to be able to see you live. It would probably be a super treat just to hang out with you guys and kind of watch the show. Other than that, again, Clint from the Doorway too. Thank you for doing this, and you guys have a great day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.